everyone, this is Mohammed Tuhami from Midway Simplicity, and welcome to a new episode of the Midway Simplicity Show, where we will talk this year about where passion meets simplicity. And my very special guest today is Kandice Bridges from thesimpleyear.com, and she is the winner of the Simplicity Blog of the Year 2013. She got the highest number of votes and she deserves it absolutely. Her blog is full of amazing wisdom and people love it. Kandice, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very excited to be here.
Thank you. Now, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you start your Simple Living quest, and how did you took over the Simple Year blog?
Sure. Well, I started out, usually there's a big defining moment, which really leads to wanting to simplify, at least in my experience. About 2 years ago, I was working in a large consulting firm, probably 60 hours a week on average, and I was just running from day to day to day to day, just trying to get through the day, get my work done, spend a little bit of time with my kids and my husband, and I felt like it was just too much. And then on March 17th of 2012, actually, I was picking up my daughter and my back fractured. I fell to the ground and had a very serious break in my spine. So that sort of like was a screeching halt to life as I knew it. From that point on, I was basically bedbound for 6 to 9 months, very limited mobility. And during that time, you can't really go anywhere or do much, so I started reading. And I found a lot of Simple Living blogs and Simple Living books, and it really resonated with me because I had been going 100 miles an hour and not really living life, just getting through life. And so that really just forced me to stop and take stock of what my life was like and really what I wanted it to be like. So really it just honed in on what I wanted my family to be, what I wanted my life to be, and where I wanted to be spending my time and what I valued. And I looked around my house and it was full of all this stuff that really, I don't know why we had it. It didn't mean anything. It was just draining energy and time to take care of it and look at it. And so we started very small and just sort of looking at things that were easy decisions and going through that. And in that time, I started reading thesimpleyear.com, Carrie's blog. And in the spring, she had a call out for somebody to take over the blog for the next year. And I thought this would be perfect. So I reached out to Carrie, and she handed over the reins to me in May of last year.
That's great, and I think it has been a great journey, and you got her blog to be the #1 Simplicity blog of the year. So that's great. I'm interested in the part of your story where you said I started to define what exactly do I want from my life.
Yes.
Which means that you started the search for your passion, for something that, fires up your soul and spirit and gives meaning to your life.
Yes.
So can you tell us about that, and how did you find your passion in life, and what is that passion?
Sure. Well, I have two passions. My family clearly is my passion, and I really wanted to we have children so that we can love them and enjoy them and adore them. And when you're working like a maniac, you don't really get to do parenting the way you would want to. At least that was my experience. And so now I can really invest in my children and get to know them and help them and be the mother that I wanted to be. But then I also have a passion for writing. And when I was working crazy hours and trying to carve out time for my family, there was no time to write. Writing for myself, not for work. So now I have, this time where I'm not spending it on the stuff. We're still going through the process of eliminating all the extraneous stuff, but I have more time to really focus on writing and honing those skills and really enjoying a little quiet to sit there and cultivate that passion.
Can you give us some examples from your life and what you did about how simplicity enabled your passion and gave it space to grow? In what way? Is it decluttering, or is some time management or organization skills, or is it you found time to spend with your family and that's why you got their support in writing? In how the different angles
Sure.
on how simple living enable your passion.
Sure. Well, when you're sitting in a house full of stuff, you're looking at the stuff, you're taking care of the stuff, you're organizing the stuff so that it doesn't look like you have so much stuff, and it drains you of your time, your energy, your resources. So when you really focus on the stuff that is in your home and you reduce it down to the things that you want and bring you joy or some utility, and you get rid of all of the other stuff, then that clears your home to be peaceful, first of all. It's not like all of these distractions everywhere. It's just peaceful and quiet. And because you're not spending the time organizing the stuff or moving the stuff around or taking care of the stuff, then you have time to focus on whatever your passion is. So that's what I've found, is that, and we're still going through the process. Don't get me wrong, we still have plenty of stuff to get rid of. But I would say our home now, at this point, we've gotten rid of at least half of our stuff. We're still going. But just even in that, it's quieter in my home. There's time to carve out for not taking care of your stuff, but instead doing what you love.
And what did you do about your 60-hour-a-week job? How Simple Living managed that?
I don't have that 60-hour-a-week job anymore.
So you quit?
I did.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not physically able to do that. But even if I were physically able to do that, I came to this point in my life where I had to make a decision. And was I going to continue on that path, or was I going to go along the simple living path and really prioritize what was important to me? And the money and the title and the stress, I mean, all of that stuff, that's not really what I wanted my legacy of my life to be. So moved along the simple living path. So I work part-time because that's what I'm able to do physically. I can't sit for long periods of time. So I left the job that I had before, and now I'm working on a part-time basis for my individual clients.
And how Simple Living replaced the paycheck you were taking? How it gave you the financial independence that is required to pursue your passion fully without being insecure about the money part?
Well, I will tell you, I have to be totally honest, I am receiving benefits for disability. So that, it was a fraction of what I was earning. But there is that sort of safety net there. But I'm also earning an income that we could live on through my part-time work. But it's not living the way you were living. Buying a lot of things or spending money on just random stuff or services. I mean, you have to be a lot more self-sufficient, and you have to really focus on what is most important. And the finances just seem to work themselves out. We eliminated a car and got a very fuel efficient car instead. It's not as shiny, and it's not a luxury car, but it gets us where we need to go, and it's more fuel efficient, so that helps with the financial standpoint of car ownership. It's just, you have to focus on what is most important to you. And so, is the car important to you, or is the time with your family or on your passion important to you? And so we've had to make a lot of those decisions. And, is eating out at a restaurant 3 times a week important to you, or is sitting down at the family dinner table important to you? So all of those things sort of go together. And once you make that decision to go the simple living way, the other things seem to follow. As you make the decision, you think about what's important and which way you want to go, and then you just take that route and make decisions with that in mind.
Yeah. What you said will trigger a question here, which is, how do you see the connection between passion and simplicity? Because why I'm asking this question is because every simple living decision that anyone can take, on the long run, it could turn out that the person may feel that he is sacrificing a lot, getting rid of things, replacing the car with another one that is not as good as the other brand, and so on. So as you go through the journey, if you don't have a passion, or if you don't do that for a reason, then you will not maintain the simple living path. So how do you see the connection? Should passion comes first, and then simplicity acts like a sweeper that clears the way to anything that is not related to your passion? Or should simple living comes first, and when you have some free time, space, and energy and money, then you can think about what should you do with these things, or reclaimed freedom, and pursue something that you like. So how do you see this connection?
For me, really, it was the beginning of the simple living journey, and really identifying priorities, the values and priorities I wanted to live my life by. And as I started to declutter and get rid of things, that started to become really clear, and it opened up space for me to pursue my passion. So for me, the simple living path came first, and the room for the passions came after. But they're very interconnected. So I don't think one way is the right way or the only way. I think for me, it started with a decision, and from that simple living sort of moment, then I just started following that path, and the rest came.
Awesome. Can you share with us some of your favorite simplicity tips that you have posted on your blog last year? Some of the, like, 2 or 3 favorite simple living ideas that really resonated with your readers, and it was like a new idea. You were a pioneer in that area.
Well, I had one blog entry that was pretty popular about how to, once you've decided to get rid of something, the best way to do that. There's a lot of discussion about trash versus recycle versus finding a new home for the item. And honestly, what I've learned from this process is there was a mindless accumulation of the stuff, but being conscious about how I got rid of the stuff could sometimes be paralyzing. It's like, okay, so I mindlessly brought this stuff in. I don't want to mindlessly throw this stuff out. So finding a responsible way to get rid of the thing sometimes was, sometimes it takes a long time and it takes extra energy. And so it's sort of a rub, you've accumulated all this stuff, and now you can't just throw it out. I mean, you could, but I don't think that's the responsible way to get rid of stuff. And so it's like this thing that you're trying to get rid of is continuing to haunt you. If you just would have never bought it in the first place, you wouldn't have to go through this whole process. So that was very interesting for me. A lot of opinions on the best way to dispose of items. Let's see, there was another on, just prioritizing things and life events that really clarify the importance of what your values are. I had a very dear friend who was diagnosed with cancer, and 4 weeks later she passed away. And so that really clarified for me, relationships are so much more important than the physical items in your home. And so really, because I wasn't taking care of all this crap, I was focusing my attention on her and her family and really valuing that friendship. So I would say relationships also get their due and more time and attention if you aren't constantly battling all this stuff. And then storage containers. I had a post on storage containers being a lie because you can't organize clutter. That was another one. You just can't organize clutter. You just need to get rid of the clutter. So I guess those are three big ones.
Interesting, yes, because as you said before, if it's organized or stored or you don't see them anymore, it means that they are off your shoulder. Yes. What you own owns you, regardless of where these things are located.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And what are your plans for the simple year?
Well, my year ends on May 20th of this year. So the goal is to find another person who wants to take on their own simple year project. And Carrie and I haven't spoken about process yet, but we are looking for the next person to take over the simple year. And it could be her project was not buying anything new for a year. Mine was decluttering and overhauling my life. I don't know what the next one will be. That remains to be seen.
Interesting. And do you plan to launch your own simple living blog?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I've thought about writing a book, since that is my passion.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know.
Awesome. So it has been a pleasure to have you on the show, Kandice. And if you would like to leave us with final words of wisdom for our viewers, that would be great.
Sure. I would say, your life is so much more than the stuff that you own. And focusing on your passions and your relationships, you won't regret it. I mean, you're not going to regret focusing your energy, your time, and your resources on those things as opposed to just accumulating more stuff that really doesn't care about you. So like you said, don't be owned by your stuff. Take it one day at a time, one drawer at a time, one box at a time, and you will get there.
Awesome. Kandice, thank you very much and good luck with your future plans.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.